Hello. Hi, Syed.
Doc, what's up? Hi, Tony. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks so much for having me.
You're absolutely welcome. It's a pleasure to finally have the opportunity to interact with you.
Yes, likewise. Especially,
Yeah,
yeah, on a platform like this. Thank you.
absolutely. I wanted to do this last week, but last week you went out camping and apparently you had fun.
Yes, yes, I do believe it's important to live a balanced life and unplug and detox from
Uh-huh.
business, especially if your business is online and screen time. So thank
Uh-huh.
you for being accommodating.
No, you're absolutely welcome. I just appreciate that you kept your promise and you showed up and you're here on time. I always get nervous. I don't know why, but every week or every other week whenever I'm doing a live session, I tend to get nervous. I'm like, what if the person I've invited backs out on me at the last moment? What am I going to do now? And my friend Nikat, who's watching this live right now, so I've told her that you're my go-to person in case anyone backs out ever. I'm just going to contact you, and we're going to have a live session. So yeah, so that's how we have our arrangement.
That's perfect.
Um,
That's a great idea. Yeah, I'm doing Facebook Lives in my private group as well, and I feel that same fear sometimes. But my backup plan is like going on by myself. I'll just talk about something for 20, 30 minutes, but it's definitely nerve-wracking. I definitely prefer the more interactive kind of live rather than me just a soliloquy. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I just feel that people see my videos, see my posts all the time on my page. Anyway, so I feel that if I go on live all by myself, people like, we've seen you enough, man. Just get your stinking face off now. Bring someone else. So yeah, so that's what my idea is.
I see. Oh, I don't.
So
I'm sure.
I was just saying that. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Oh,
you say
sorry.
it first.
No, I just said I don't. I doubt that. I think people would always be happy to see more of you. But anyway.
I hope so. I hope so. I was just saying that by the time we're waiting for more people to join us, I would love it if you just share a little bit about yourself, about your whole journey, and about the path that you've taken in life, and in the process, just introduce yourself. That would be amazing.
Of course. Yes, thank you. I will try to summarize this too. So,
Now, of course, you take all the time that you need. We've got 1 hour.
oh, we have an hour. Okay. Yes. So yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Tony Liu. I am a Chinese American. Came from Beijing when I was 3 to mostly the East Coast, and I grew up with very traditional, typical, strict Asian parents who are like must be doctor, lawyer, engineer, right? And they were doctors too, and so they were just like, you must do medicine like us. And so even though I really wanted to do art, to be more in the arts, I love being creative, and I've always loved drawing as long as I could remember. Drawing cartoon characters. I loved anime and manga and just that style. I was like, respect my elders. They know better. I'm just going to do what I'm told. And I also wanted to make them proud and happy too. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to follow the path of medicine and make it work, right? There are so many different fields in medicine, and it's really a noble profession. I can really help a lot of people, make a difference in people's lives with it. So I became a doctor and I'm still practicing a little bit now. I started off in women's health, obstetrics, and gynecology because I care a lot about equality, social justice, women's rights, yeah, like reproductive rights especially. I'm just like, why is this even a thing? Why are we like old men trying to control women's decisions in their bodies? And so I was just like, if I can make a difference in this field, I'm going to do that. But then I was just finding that the stress of the labor floor delivering babies, it really wasn't a good fit for me because I I was just finding that I get really, really attached to my patients, and I'm just like, okay, I think just a better work-life balance, because I think there's also this myth that doctors are like not human. Like, we need to be perfect. And I've grown up from my family upbringing, cultural things, very close with my extended family too. As I went back and saw them every few years, and in medical training too, they're just like, you must be perfect. You can't make mistakes. When you do make a mistake, it's so terrible. It's detrimental too because someone gets hurt. And I just was like, I think a lower risk, being a more preventative care doctor, definitely suits me better and my strengths better because I believe a
Yeah.
lot in holistic health and preventative medicine, and it's better to prevent the disease in the first place with proper lifestyle habits and education. I really found that I was passionate about that. And so I changed to family medicine, so primary care. And then I still felt that my life was incomplete. Like my soul longed for more than that. I was feeling very constrained by the medical system, like how they really turn it more into a like assembly line business almost rather than the compassionate fields that I thought it was. Like they force us to see patients in 15 minutes. That's the United States. I know in other countries you only get 5 minutes. I know in China, I've done rotations in Asia,
Mhm.
China, Japan, Taiwan, and I'm just like, how do we do this? It's so I really longed for just more of a con- connection and time and really getting down to the roots of why people are not taking care of themselves and their health. And so I just realized in my journey, I found that being a life coach really suited me better. It was kind of the things that I cared about. And I was also finding that it didn't really light me up to study and diagnose and all the problem solving parts of medicine. So that's why I'm trying to transition. And also my childhood dream of being a cartoonist, I just suppressed that for a lot of my life. And uh, now I felt like almost maybe my creativity died. Like it's time to be an adult now, but it's not true. It was still a part of me. And so now I feel like I'm truly living fully authentically now and true to my heart. And I'm embraced that I am multi-passionate and that I am unconventional and it's okay
Yeah.
that we can do anything that we want. And so I made a huge shift, and I'm still transitioning in it in 2018 as soon as I graduated residency training. And I trained for, well, in total, the path is 13 years. And it was just a long road because in the US, we do 4 years of university or college and then 4 years medical school, and then 3 to 7 years of residency training as a junior doctor.
Yeah.
Because I did two residencies, gynecology for 2 full years, and then primary care, family medicine for 2.5 years. It added up to nearly 13 years. And then I was like, I never took time for myself, and I've always yearned to travel the world and learn from other cultures and people and ways of living. Like I just feel like the world is so big and we have so much to learn from other people. How can anyone want to just stay still and live in one place for most of their life? And so I bought a one-way ticket to Spain in that by the end of 2018 was the beginning of 2019, and I spent 6 months out in Europe and Morocco and living that digital nomad life where you
Uh,
you're still working online, you're working on your goals, you're not full out traveling all the time. You're doing the ideal mix, right? You can do full-time travel and still do work and make a difference. And I found my creativity came back, seeing the beautiful sights, meeting different people really was so
yeah.
inspiring to me. And then COVID hit a bit, so I'm kind of on a break from the travel life, but I think
Uh,
just gearing myself up to get back out there. So anyway, long story short, my gosh, I'm just like fully embracing. I feel like I fully embraced who I am, and even though it was difficult, um, even though my family has called me crazy, but my friends too, there's like very few. Uh,
I'm sure.
they're just like, you're delusional. This is not going to work out. Like, you're just going to realize that the stable traditional 9 to 5 life with the house and the white picket fence and the kids is the best life or the way to go. And I'm just like, everyone gets to
Yeah.
their own paths, and we shouldn't deny ourselves what calls to us just because other people aren't doing it or it's not the norm of society.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
That's so cool. You went from being in OBGYN to family medicine to being a total badass and just defying all the rules of a normal life. And I think, you know what? I think the pre-COVID, the post-COVID world, what we're calling it, the new normal. I think you are defining the new normal for more Asian people. And we've had a couple of discussions before this Instagram live, and uh, so I was appreciating our discussion to someone I work closely with, and I was telling them that how you understand the whole Asian mindset,
Hmm.
and because a lot of times when we say Asian, so we only think of Chinese people living in America, but
Hmm.
that's not just Asia, right? I mean, I'm talking about the true Asian people, people who are living in China, people who are living in India, in
Hmm.
Vietnam, or whatever this whole community that we have.
Hmm.
And there are a lot of foundations on people. You're absolutely right, and people are just the parents believe that their kids are going to do these. There are these 4 or 5 professions, and everybody wants their kids to just go into those professions.
Hmm.
You either have to become a doctor, or you need to become a whatever, an engineer or a pilot, or you become a lawyer, and that's all. I mean, if you tell people that I want to become an artist, people are like, "You're an idiot, man. Who wants to become an artist?"
Yeah.
So tell me something about the part where you had to engage in those. I'm sure there must have been a lot of friction with your family. So I want people to listen to your story, and I want people to get motivated and get inspired. How did you, I wouldn't say convince your parents, but how did you put across your ideas to your family? And how did you decide to finally put the foot down and start living your own life?
Yeah, great question. It was definitely a long process because I feel like these cultures were very set in our ways, right? And it's very hard. In anybody with when your deeply set beliefs are challenged, it can be really hard to see things in a new way. And I know my family, I think the reason that we prioritize some jobs over others is because of the vast differences in financial compensation and security. And I hate that. Again, in my ideal world, we would all recognize that all jobs are important and they contribute to our world and our universe, and that they would that people can pick any of them, right? You don't have to consider economic um, factors. But anyway, with my family, it's been, let's see, when did I first tell them that I wanted to live more true to myself? It's been nearly 5 years now, 4 years, 5 years. And I know some people just put their foot down, cut off their family. I, I can't do that. I mean, I could do that if I felt that it truly was so toxic that we were not going anywhere with our relationship. But I really love my family. I really am so grateful for everything they've done for me. You know, they came to a foreign country, they had to learn a new language, and they worked so hard to give me this better life, to give me more options in life. And definitely I recognize it's thanks to them that I'm able to try to pursue my highest self and try to self-actualize and make use of all the gifts that I was given. And all the passions and perspectives. Like, I think each of us has this unique combination, and if we don't listen to ourselves, then the universe misses out on our gifts. So I think for them, it started off, I mean, it was a long process because at first it was coming from a place of burnout and just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And can't I just quit medicine now in between my two residencies? I was saying, like, this is this is terrible. It just, I got to a point where I just felt like I wasn't really living, just kind of going through the motions of a life that was not my own. And I had their approval. I had everything. Actually, along the way, they've always, I've realized with my family, they're impossible to please. They always had negative things. I think they're recognizing that they have their limitations and that they see the world in more of a glass half empty scenario, because they were judgmental about me picking OBGYN. They were just like, why would you do that? It's so gross. Or I don't know, like why do you care so much about women's reproductive rights? You know, you like, that's so political, you could get shot. Like they're just always talking about the negative parts of any decision I made. And then when I wanted to do,
Yeah, yeah,
they were just like, you're going to be a fake doctor. Or like, they're just like, if you wanted to do primary care, you should have just dropped out of medical school. And just, you know, just like this, all this judgmental, uh, just attitudes that they hold. And you know, so there was definitely a lot of friction at first when I was just feeling resentful for how they were seeing the world. And also with feeling resentful because I felt pushed into medicine as well. I wanted to take a year or two off and go teach English in Japan, between college and medical school, and
wow,
actually in an 8-year program that would have waited for me, at Brown University. And they said, yeah, we'll hold your spot for medical school for up to 2 years. I should have just done it. But my parents sort of threatened to disown me if I did that, if I didn't go straight into med school. And I should have called them out of that, but I still was like, I wanted to play the good daughter role. And I was like, no,
yeah,
no, no,
yeah,
I'm going to just do it. I can always go do this later after I'm done. Like, and so I think, but it was from, and then I didn't, study abroad. It was just like always this strife with them. They try to control me, and I know that it's out of love. They just are worried
yeah,
and I'm going abroad. They just worry about me getting kidnapped or hurt and being far away, and all this. So I get
yeah,
just their fears. I see that now, but at the time it was difficult. And it's just over time, multiple conversations, and then realizing, and me growing myself, personal growth,
yeah,
self-development. I read so many self-help books. I've worked with a therapist. I've tried all these different programs and coaches, and just all these have really helped expand my worldview. And now I can see that whatever objections they bring up, it's because of their experiences. And I no longer feel negatively about that. Instead, I just feel like, oh my gosh, like I just want to help them. And I like help them see that the world is a much better place. Families are definitely complicated, yes. Yes, it's, and so nowadays I try to focus, whenever they try to bring up, not bait me, but just like they use terms like, they call me a loser, a failure, a disgrace to the family. They call my nomad ways, being a hobo, with flies buzzing around me. Just all these things that they try to trigger me. And I'm just, you know, you just treat it as water rolling off a duck's back, right? The feathers is just, you can say it, it doesn't, uh, soak in, because I know my value and my worth, and I'm on the right path. And if you can't see it yet, that's okay. Hopefully one day you can see it. And but I can still love you. You know, even I can, I think we can agree to disagree. And I just tell them that too. Like, just guys, we talked about this a lot, and I just want to enjoy my time with you. How about we talk about other topics or things that we agree on? Or I try to reframe things that they say and show them that we actually have a lot more in common than they had thought. Like when I actually was working temporarily, I was doing a travel doctoring job in a student health clinic. And I really like that population because you can teach them when they're young, like all about sex education and birth control and boundaries and everything. And got laid off because of the pandemic in March, and they were saying, see, you know, you shouldn't have been one of the extra temp workers. You should have had a full-time job. Like, that's real security. Like, when are you going to learn to stop doing this floating around stuff and just get a stable job? And I told them, no, COVID's taught me, like, I do value security, but I told them that's why I'm pursuing all my passions. I'm setting up multiple streams of income, because for me, that's true security. I'd rather not be at the mercy of one boss. And so I told them, like,
yeah,
it's more reassurance, like when they attack me, and just like, you know, you respond in a loving way and just say, like, we
yeah,
have the same goals and very similar values. We're just approaching it different ways. So same path,
yeah,
same way. And I think that's been good, because I think that it's very hard for them to keep on with the attacking comments if you don't retaliate quite in
yes,
the same.
yes.
So I found that that's worked well for me, at least. But I know everyone's situation is so different too, and I'm really passionate about helping other people navigate their difficult family relationships too. That's one of the areas that I most love coaching on. Oh, sorry,
That's wonderful.
but
No, that's absolutely fine, and in fact, that's absolutely beautiful what you just said. And first of all, I agree with you that choosing not to follow in your parents' footsteps does not mean that we don't respect them. We obviously respect them, we love them,
yes.
and I think this conflict of ideas has especially happened after the millennial generation came in, and
Mhm.
generation the baby boomers are mostly our parents, and that conflict happened, conflict of ideas.
Mhm.
And then I appreciate your attitude. You know how you said that just be like water on a duck's feathers, just smoothly fly off, and don't let anything get stuck on you. And that's what we need to focus on. That's the resilience that a lot of us need to learn.
Mhm.
And I'm really happy that you're here today, and I'm sure that uh, uh, the people who are watching this conversation right now and the people who will watch this conversation on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube later on will be able to learn heaps from what you've gone through and from what you're saying. My question to you is that you go through such hard training uh, in order to become a doctor. Was it difficult for you to just let it all go?
Yes, great question. It's still hard, right? Because I think we all want to feel like our what the work we've put in was worth something, right? I haven't fully let go of medicine yet, but I am. It's all about how we see things, right? Reframing it and
Yeah,
realizing that nothing that we do actually ever does go to waste, because all those
yeah,
hours, I think I counted up, it was definitely over 10,000 hours of direct patient time. And I feel like that's really shown me how to be more compassionate, how to bond with people, especially quickly when you only have 15 minutes and you need to talk about some intimate topics. You find ways, right? And I feel like
yeah,
that's just helpful life skills for no matter what we do. I think a lot in whatever career, profession, the things that we do, a lot of skills are there's a lot of overlap and transferable. So,
yeah,
and then I even had one patient tell me, she's like, you were meant to get this training and you were meant to do something bigger with it than most people do. And I really love that. I feel like no one could have said it better. And I'm still figuring out exactly the how. Like I sometimes feel like, oh, I'm scattered. I really want to just focus all my energies on one thing, like my drawing or the coaching, but it just doesn't feel right to limit myself. And so I just feel like I'm kind of going by how I feel and just seeing where it takes me. But yes, long story short, it is hard to let go and change, especially after being on one path for so long. But just not all paths are separate, if that makes sense. I think it's like a web
yeah,
rather than a
yeah,
series of parallel paths. So
yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, life's paths are like it's a nexus of things. No matter which road you hop on, you're eventually going to end up at the same place. We're all going to die someday.
yes.
That's a very nihilistic opinion that I have. But when you're eventually going to die, just have some fun while you're alive. I mean, just live your best life.
Mhm.
Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow?
Yeah.
My next question is that how, and I'm not saying that your parents were overbearing or whatever, but since you mentioned that, and since I also believe in the same idea that some parents are more harsh or overbearing than other parents, so how does one stand up to those strong ideals and those strong figures in our life, because parents are probably the strongest figures that a child has. So how do you stand up against them? How do you get the courage? How do you get the audacity to do that?
Yeah, that's great. Oh, what a fantastic question. Uh, it's really, I think it helps to first figure out, have a sense of who you are and what you want. And I think that that's really hard because when we love and care about someone, we want to make them happy, right? But that's just people pleasing. And eventually
Yeah,
you put up for a period of time, but then you're gonna burn out. You're gonna just hit not rock bottom, but just really like you're continuing to sacrifice yourself for someone else. You will feel it, like you will know.
yeah,
So I think taking some time to really and writing down, I think, helps a lot too. So just gathering what your top values are, what's most important to you, and then I think that each style is different. I don't like the straight on like confrontation style because I don't want to convey disrespect to them. And I think so I don't I think my parents respond pretty well to logical arguments. So if I gather some evidence or some data, like I'm showing them now with the millennials, right? It's like most people are not picking one job and working it their entire career. Right? It's actually normal to get various like, different experiences, diverse experiences. It really helps you grow. And then also, it's
yeah,
more possible than ever to make money online. There are so many freelancing ways. The internet technology has really evolved, and our world has evolved. And so just showing people the data, and if they say, oh, nobody makes money off their passions, then just show them the data. And, and some people are really passionate about something. And while you're transitioning, like some people do day jobs, they even work 2 or 3 day jobs, right? But whatever you need to do, like that is a more meaningful life than just spending your whole time doing one thing that really it doesn't it consumes you and it doesn't allow you to do what you're most passionate about. um
yeah,
so and yeah, and I think with family, like there's definitely that hierarchical culture, right? Like because they're older, they know better, they've had more life experience. But just I think, yeah, gathering some that data and evidence in your court, I think can be helpful. And I've also offered to them, hey, here are these books and these resources and these articles. Now they don't always read them, but I think
yeah. I'm sure.
like I'm not just completely unfounded, right? And
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and I actually did a recent comic idea or drawing idea came to me where it's like before when they say helicopter parents, right? They try to be controlling. They see you as just an extension of themselves, right? Like just a arm or a leg or a limb. And I was
yeah,
just like, actually, no, this from in this comic, it's kind of a metaphor where they see you as their tail, right? But nowadays we've evolved. We don't have tails anymore. We're so just kind of showing how yeah their generation's beliefs, like the world keeps evolving, right? So it could be a
yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, that's so true. And you're right. The tail has definitely vanished, but those notions that represent that tale are still living on. And I just hope that as we progress as a species, as generations, our ideas evolve with us, and our ideas evolve for the better, because that's what we need the most right now. The world is going through some turbulent times, and we're experiencing some high levels of judgment in people. We're experiencing some high levels of polarity in certain situations.
Mhm.
And what we need right now is more people with more open minded views. We need people who can understand contrasting information, and who can just, people who can absorb something new, because that's what really matters right now. And I say bravo to people who are fighting for LGBT plus rights. I say bravo to people who are fighting for women's rights.
Mhm.
And because all of these things are, it's about time. And I mean, come on, it's 2020 and we're still fighting for black people to have rights.
Mhm.
What are we doing? I mean, about time now. Give them rights already. I mean, why do we even have to fight for this racial indiscrimination? So yeah, so here's to hoping that the future generations will make a better world, and a world where not just parents but everybody will be more open and understanding to different ideologies, different views, just contrasting information. My
definitely.
next question to you is that you've done so many awesome things in your life, and like I said, you're a complete badass. So, would you recommend your style of living to other people? Would you recommend people to do what you've done?
Oh, I mean, I think for everybody, it depends on what you want, right? I think there are definitely, I think with every choice, there are pros and cons. I think for me, I mean, it's not all glamorous, right? The full-time travel life, even though it sounds amazing. I would say the probably the biggest downside has been with the keeping forging a community, right? Like some people, I mean, we're human. We all need connections and love and understanding from other people. I've been doing that. I've been able to have a lot of really meaningful relationships online and having a more global community. That's my hope, right? So no matter where I go, I'll always know someone and we can hang out. But it's hard, especially in the first few years of doing this and building up. Um, but it's so rewarding, and especially actually when COVID came around, I was just like, "Oh, this is perfect." It's pushing more of a remote work culture anyway, and um, like cultivating online relationships as well. So I mean, I love my lifestyle. I definitely recommend it to people, but I would say it's only for you if you truly feel it's for you. No, like everyone has their right to choose it. And I think if you find that this calls to you, you can't get it out of your head, try it out. And then if you find that, okay, this was good, I'm done doing this, then I think traditionally people see it as, oh, you travel and then once you get it out of your system, then you're ready for the more stable, settled down life,
Yeah.
living place and raising a family. And it may be true for some people and it may be not true for others. Like I personally do want a family, but I don't see settling down for a family the same as settling down like in one location. Nowadays there are people
Yeah.
who have families on the road. It's called world schooling. And I just thought it was amazing just yeah, hearing that like you can create whatever kind of life you want. So yeah, I would say
It's a brave new world right now.
it really is. Yeah, you really your options are limitless. You can do whatever.
Yep, absolutely. And there are a lot of people. I mean, you see this YouTuber Mark Wiens. He's a food blogger and he travels for food. So he
Yes.
keeps traveling all year round, and I think about the same things. That I mean, he's not living a traditional life, but he's living a great life. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, imagine the kind of experiences that his kids are going to have. They would know everything about all the cultures, all the societies, all the countries.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that the basis for all the idiotic conflict around us right now is just the lack of that understanding. I mean, we grow up believing that our country is the best, our culture is the best, our religion is the best,
Mm-hmm.
whatever food we're eating is the best. We're the best, basically. That's what
Right.
we're taught right from childhood. And our malleable brain, it absorbs all that information and it gets transformed in that way. And when we grow up like to become these weird people who are unable to absorb any new information, and we're just constantly in conflict with all the different cultures, religions, countries, cultures that we experience, and it's bullshit in my opinion because every religion, country, culture is beautiful in its own way.
Yes.
Miss Yakanali here has a good point. You might want to read it and you might want to answer it. She says, "I really think a lot about this, especially in this era, that how valid are elders' experience in today's time, since everything has changed this technology a lot."
Yeah. Great comment.
So
Yeah.
basically, what she's trying to understand is that how valid are the old notions of, in the movie Kung Fu Panda, Master Oogway was very wise, and he
Mm-hmm.
was a wise old tortoise. So and that was how old customs were, that the oldest person of the society or the family is going to be the wisest because they have the most experience. But nowadays, I mean, come on, 15-year-olds can Google anything, they can read tons of stuff on whatever YouTube, Wikipedia, and they have lots of information about a lot of things. I know that a lot of that information is not meaningful, or it's not truly connected to useful application, but still they have a lot of information. So where does that leave the elders of the society?
Yeah. I mean, I think that everyone from gathering experiences, that you definitely gather wisdom. And I think everyone's has different perspective. That's why I feel like I don't want to put I really feel that we should all see each other on a more equal level. Like the elders, like not that they know so much more, but also not that they know so much less because they don't understand all the rapidly changing things. Just like they have their valuable experiences to share, we learn from them. And other things that we can see that it's not so relevant now, then we just, you know, we take what resonates with us and we leave the rest. So yeah, I wouldn't put like I don't want to discount elders' experiences because they are
Yeah,
valuable and they have so much wisdom to share. But I guess like going back to just all the different cultures and everything, I'm really drawn to understanding everyone because I so believe that we're so much more the same. We're all one human race than we are different. And it breaks my heart when we're having these conflicts or prejudice, discrimination, all this when people can't
yeah,
be more inclusive and embracing diversity, and really
yeah,
seeing a positive thing like, oh wow, this person can teach me so much about their culture, their life experiences. And so I think that I feel like that's my giant overarching mission in for my life, and just to be able to bring people closer together and to help people become more understanding and tolerant and loving towards one another. Like I don't think I can single-handedly end wars, but it's like if that happened in my lifetime, I would be floored. Like I would be more than happy to jump on whatever organization or team to bring about that, right? And I do think a lot of it is exposure and education. um,
yeah. No, I'm really glad that um, we are forming this alliance, and you're shaking hands with our organization to provide your services, your experience, and your expertise to the whole wide world out there. And although ending wars is too Wonder Womanly, you know, Wonder Woman's cool bracelet. So I think you can deflect bullets with your ideas, even if you do not have that cool Wonder Woman bracelet. As Physio Global says, knowledge is ageless, but maybe wisdom comes with experience. So yeah, so that's interesting again.
mm,
So I agree with what you said about elder people, that it should be more equal. And yeah, we should of course be respectful to people. Again,
yeah.
just talking about these things, that whether we should be listening to elder people or not, it's not that we do not respect them. I mean, we of course respect them. We're just ideating on new concepts. That's what we're trying to do.
Hmm.
So now that you plan to travel around the world, you plan to see the whole world. Okay. In fact, we have a question here, Doctor. Have you ever faced discrimination in your practice, because of your age, gender, or race?
Great.
I think that's a better question. Yeah, I'll ask my question later. I want you to take this question first.
Okay. Yes, I have. I think how can anyone not? Um, yeah, I've definitely been thought to be the nurse and called nurse by patients. They just like turn to our male medical student and like I'm the doctor already, the resident doctor, and they just start talking to them or mostly them. Um, it's hard, but I I think that it's important to right to teach people and correct them, and right and I try to also approach it in a loving way too, like to not be triggered. I think some people feel a lot of anger for that. So I think like striking the right middle ground, like being assertive, not too passive or too aggressive, um,
Yeah.
regarding yeah this discrimination. But I also feel fortunate. I mean, I trained in uh, the East Coast mostly, the New England area, and then in the Midwest. So I wasn't in
Mhm.
certain places that probably the discrimination probably would have been worse. I think in certain areas in the South or certain other states. So
Yeah.
great.
So, okay. What I was going to ask you earlier was that you plan to travel the world, you plan to go around, see all these places. Is there any specific thing that you're looking for? Is there any specific thing that calls out to you?
Yeah, a great question as well. So I really feel called to advance women's health education, especially in the areas where culturally it's really not talked about or it's really taboo. Pressed. When I did a rotation in Japan, I was shocked that they had one of the highest rates of cervical cancer because they just don't talk about doing pap smears or preventative women's care. And because they relate it to the same as sex, and that there's all this regarding like preserving like just the innocence, I guess, until marriage, and
Yeah,
so people just don't even consider.
the hymen should not be damaged or whatever.
Yeah. So I think like those countries. And then actually, when I was in Morocco for 2 months, I lived with a host family and really learned a lot. They were a family of five, and the three children told me a lot about their customs there. And similarly, it's that double standard. Women are expected to have a white wedding. They even have a culture where the fiance, the man's family, can ask a doctor to examine just to confirm that she still has the hymen intact. I just thought, wow, that is crazy. That's impossible to do, really, because like, some people don't have a hymen, or other people their hymen breaks for other reasons, such as exercise or riding a bike. But I just like just learning about yeah those cultural differences and really even just changing one person's opinion at a time. I
Yeah.
think, and I feel really called to too. I've heard about those countries where young girls aren't able to go to school because their periods are so painful, or they can't afford
Hmm.
pads or tampons. They're just staying stuck at home. I feel really
Yeah.
called with that too. Like I'm hoping that when I have my abundance, like all my companies flourishing, then I can create these mission trips or just to fund more like period products, menstrual cycle products for women, or providing birth control for them so they can control how heavy their periods are. Like I would just gladly join if anyone knows of organizations that just go around going to other countries. I know Doctors Without Borders does a more generalized care,
Yeah.
but if there's any that's focused specifically for women's health care, doing pap smears or birth control, I'm all on board. Please let me know. Please reach out to me or DM me. So I feel really called for those countries. I think like in the areas such as Europe, where they are even more advanced than we are here in the United States. Like they have
Yeah.
free contraception. I think in the
Yeah.
United they give you out free IUDs and implants, and those cost typically almost $1,000 to get, especially in the United States when we don't have insurance. You'd have to pay out of
Hmm.
pocket for that, and people would just be like, I can't afford to have that. But in the UK, they just do it even for visitors. I think if you're a tourist there, just go get
Hmm.
birth control. That's a IUDs and implants are long-term birth control devices. They
Yeah.
last 3 to up to 10 years, and um,
Yeah.
you could just really, and I think like what draws me to all of this is because at the end of the day, it's all about empowering people to have
Yeah.
all options in front of you, right? If
Yeah.
unplanned pregnancy, it can really box you in and limit your options, and so it's just
Yeah.
a control over our lives, and that I it's the original. Yeah, so I think that those areas like Europe, those really developed countries, they they don't really need my help. I mean, my ultimate dream is to go live in all, is it 200 countries, just all the countries around the world, right? And to really know them as a local rather than just a tourist,
Yeah.
living there for at least 3 months, probably longer. But I mean, that's why I feel like it's a life mission. I'm 32 this year, and hopefully I'll still have a good 70 years of my life to continue on with this. But yes, and spending more time in the areas where I can make more of a difference. That's how I see my life and what I'm drawn to.
Yeah. I'm sure that you're going to make incredible difference to the world because you're so motivated and you're a genius in your actions, and that's what the world needs. I mean, there are a lot of geniuses sitting out there who are genius in the way they're just ideating Machiavellian strategies, but you're genius in the way that you're putting positive action out there, and that's what the world needs right now. And you're right. I mean, apparently, the whole hymen thing is a big deal. I've read about this in Khalid Hosseini's stories, in this book, Jihadi Jane, and how difficult it is for certain women to preserve that sanctity, in order to be just just be pure and whatnot. And yeah, again, going back to what I was saying, I just hope that people open their minds to new ideas and new understanding, and just let that let that fresh air in, man. Come on, it's about time. It's 2020. Uh, just let's just move ahead. Um, Now, doctor, talking to you about this whole living your best life so far has been great, and I'm going to touch base on this again a little later. I want to talk to you about wellness now because you're big on health, and you've told me that you like health related activities.
Mhm.
So, for our listeners, just break down health for them. I mean, number one, what do I need to do in order to be healthy?
Mhm.
Number two, what do I do if I'm just plain too lazy to stand up and work out? I mean, I believe I'm lazy. What can I do? What are some fun ways for me to work out? And number three, how to incorporate that healthy lifestyle into my regular life.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Big questions. Yeah, I mean, what I will say to your first question is just there's health, it's different for everyone, right? Like I think everyone's body, then just if we're talking strictly about like your physical health and how much you need to exercise or how much you need to eat, I think everybody's body is different. So I really think the key
yeah,
is listening, being in tune with our feelings. And like our body will tell us when it's hungry, our body will tell us when it's restless and craving some movement or exercise. I think the biggest shift for me, because before I totally bought into that media and the culture of looking a certain way, and um, like just focus more on right your appearance rather than what your body can do, how your body serves you. And that was a huge shift for me. And then afterwards it was just like I exercise for how it makes me feel and for how it reminds me that it is a blessing having a able functioned body, that I'm able to use my senses, I'm able to walk without assistance. And it's being grateful, I think, cultivating that and not being so hard on ourselves and beating ourselves up when we miss a workout or overindulge and eat something. It's like just realizing it's we don't have to be perfect, right? It's progress, not perfection. That everything that we do for ourselves. And I think when we cultivate, because I think a lot of bad physical health habits, they have an emotional and mental root. You know, it's from, as you said, if you just think of yourself as a lazy person or an incompetent person or an undeserving person, like these will affect your behaviors. It's all in our mind. Our mind is the most powerful organ, or even possibly even force in the universe, right? And I think it's like when
absolutely.
we truly love and embrace ourselves and our bodies, we just naturally make choices that are good for our overall health. You know, it's just like, okay, we're going to choose the healthier option food wise, or we're going to, yeah, go do a workout. And for me, I actually hate the traditional gym routines. I've just found that doesn't work for me, right? I get bored. I just have a hard time keeping up. So I blast music or I find creative ways to exercise. So like exercise that doesn't really feel like exercise, things like dancing or any kind of sports. I especially love racket sports. And I would suggest for you just find what form of body movement feels good to you. Like, and if it's helpful, find other people to work out together, even join those groups, find an accountability buddy or partner, even just 10 minutes a day. They just start small, right? Like some people have the little pedometers that just track the steps that you take each day. There are definitely so many ways to incorporate a more healthy lifestyle for your. And again, to just be kind with yourself, because I think when we beat ourselves up, we end up doing the opposite of what we want to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I maintain that. So
You know,
happy to, if anyone
the
wants me to take you through a dance routine, because I do lead some dance workshops and Zumba classes too.
uh-huh,
And as
uh-huh.
me, I liked video games growing up, and so I played this dance pad game where you're just, instead of using a controller, you use your feet to stomp on some of the pads, right? Yes, 10 minutes
Yeah.
every day, right? I'm happy to hop on a call and do that with you, or set you up. And you could do it from anywhere. As a nomad, yeah, I carry around like well, not always, but I do have a dance pad with me now. It's only like 10 or $20. And, it's like,
Awesome.
hey, you carry it around, you step on it, it gives you some exercise. So just finding whatever works for you, right? Like my whole life I've had to try a lot of different activities before finding the ones that I truly loved and that we stick to. And they say the best health things, the best exercise are the ones you can stick with.
Yes.
So,
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for those insights. And the World Health Organization defines health as a combination of mental, physical, and social health. So it's not just important for us to take care of our bodies, but most profoundly, it's important for us to take care of our minds. I recently posted something on my Instagram talking about how the subconscious takes over, and the subconscious is it's unable to differentiate between what's reality and what's imagination. So if we are just talking to ourselves about I'm lazy, I'm not good enough, I'm this, I'm that, whatever negative self-talk. So the subconscious starts believing that you're not good enough, and it starts flushing your body with the same hormones and with the same chemicals that make you feel bad all throughout. And I saw this video by Tony Robbins, and he calls something uh, facial aerobics. And he says that even if you're feeling sad,
mhm,
stand in front of the mirror, try to smile, open your eyes wide, and you'll start feeling good.
mhm,
So that's the connection there. So you're absolutely right. Mind has a big role to play in health, and of course, physically moving is important. And I also emphasize on social health. I tell people all the time to have friends, to have certain two or three people in your life with whom you can really be yourself, with whom you can share your heart out.
mhm.
That's really important.
So important.
Now, Doc, we would love to talk to you more, and we have so many more questions for you, uh, but we're running out of time. So I think we would have to catch you some other day, and probably even better, maybe we can organize a workshop kind of a situation where you can take us through one of your dance routines.
I would love that. Yes. And I didn't mean to, sorry, to harp a lot on the physical health part. Yes, all those other areas are so important too. For
Yeah,
mental, spiritual health and emotional health, someone likened it once, like it's important to go to the spiritual gym. So just doing things
yeah,
like journaling or gratitude or spending time in nature. It's really,
yeah,
yeah, healing. It's just everything's important. It's all the little habits that build up over time. And yes, with the social health too, we are social creatures. We're not meant to be isolated or alone. I think that's what COVID's so hard right now. But yes, finding those people, we become more like the people who we spend time with and hang around with. So yes, finding people who you can be yourself and who you feel like they love you for you too. That is so important. So thank you so much. Oh my gosh, sorry. One other thought that I had. Oh, right, with
uh-huh.
it's a that self-fulfilling prophecy. When you think things about yourself, you're going to act in ways that confirm your beliefs. So when you were saying that you're
Yeah,
flooded with those chemicals, right, like that make you feel more sluggish, that make you feel more of that kind of person, who you
yeah.
think you are. So yeah, I love that. There's so much more that I want to talk about, but yes, let's save.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll connect again soon. Thank you so much, Doctor. Let me just wrap up the session now. I would love to thank all my friends, my cousins, my brothers, everybody. Miss Yakanali. I see Keanu Abbas, Sudeshna07. Thank you so much, guys. Shuja Shams, Syed 15J, everybody. Matutul Breeze, Physio Global, everybody. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for supporting me. Nikhat, you always come online first. Thank you. And Doctor, thank you so much once again for taking the time out to join. And we will connect soon on another session, or probably, like I said, like a webinar kind of a situation where you can take us on one of our dance routines. People can reach out to you at L as in Lima, T as in Tango, Nomad. That's your Instagram ID. And it was great talking to you. Take care. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Watch. Bye bye.